The year was 1998. Technology was booming, video games becoming more detailed because of 3D dimensions. Music was absolutely fire. Skateboarding becoming more popular. Culture movies at the time are now classics. This game I'm playing right now is called Thief, and it's one of the first ever video games that is in first person with stealth and high quality sound for its time. This game was much different than Tenchu Assassin and Solid Snake that came out that year. Sadly, this game's a PC exclusive, and the main character you play as...
I was a kid. No parents, no home. Running messages and picking pockets to keep my ribs from meeting my spine. One night I saw a man. Folks just passed him by like he wasn't there. I thought he must have something valuable, so I snuck up on him and made a grab.
That's not for you.
Please, sir, I'm hungry. Don't tell the Hammers, I promise.
What is your name, boy?
Garrett.
You have talent, lad.
Let go of me, old man!
To see a keeper is not an easy thing, especially one who does not wish to be seen. We have a need for those as gifted as yourself. If you've grown tired of how you live, then follow me, and we will show you a different way.
Leave me alone!
As you wish.
I caught up with him just before he vanished into the crowd. It was the beginning of a very long education.
Garrett over the years trained and studied to become a professional thief throughout the city for a living, to steal from the fat nobles, and discovers new treasures and ancient treasures and helps out through jailbreaks. Also, I feel bad for Garrett because of his childhood and trauma he had to take over the years, but it worked out in the end. But this is a different area of being a thief. This is the medieval times, so you can get away with crime and murder whenever you want pretty much, because there was no evidence at this time, unless there was witnesses. This game is really simple, but if you're playing in combat, it can be really hard. Just stick to the shadows when you can. The shadows are pretty much your friend. You can just ambush enemies whenever you want in the right time and place. You can use your blackjack to knock out enemies. To progress through the game in areas, just to make it a little bit more easier. There are certain type of arrows you can use. You can use boarhead arrows to damage enemies. You can use water arrows to knock out torches. You can use rope arrows to climb through other paths in the game. You can use fire arrows to ignite things. And you can use gas arrows too. You can use moss arrows to tread over loud surfaces in the game. And noise arrows pretty much tells you what it does. The gameplay you're seeing here is Thief Gold because Project Dark is not really a thing anymore. Pretty much Thief Gold adds more missions into the game. Some people still play the original Project Dark on older hardware. How you run this game on modern hardware, like modern systems, you use the TFIX mod. It patches the Thief Gold edition. So back in these days, if you want a copy of this, you have to get a real copy. So you gotta go to your local retailer store, like a technology store. And back in these times, the game cases were huge, with like the manual and everything in it. Some video games at the time, if you want to like learn about the game, you have to read the manual. The physical manual, but back in these times, tutorial stages wasn't a thing, but this game had it. The controls in Thief are ancient, so if I was you, you should change them to like more modern controls. But the weird thing about it is when you run in this game, the button that you run with, only hold that button down. But if you try and move while holding the run button down, you stop immediately in your tracks. It's really weird to get used to. This was the first ever stealth game with laning, but the first ever game with laning was System Shock from the same company, Looking Glass Studios. Thief Project Dark, November 30th, 1998. So here soon, this game will be 27 years old. The reason why I like this game is because the atmosphere can take you to a different place, the soundtrack and everything. It's sort of steampunk-like video game I played in the past before I played this one called Dishonored, but this game overall changed video games forever. Like like I was saying, Thief came out in November 30th, 1998. Well, this game wasn't going to be a thing because the code wasn't working. So, like, the enemies wasn't acting right. So, like, let's just say if you're in, like, the shadows, they could still see you. They could see you through walls. Pretty much the game was broken. The game's supposed to come out in spring instead of fall because that whole big problem that they had. What I'm guessing is they made the map first before they started working on the AI, so it messed up the game. Well, I'm not an expert or anything like that, so take that sentence I just said with a grain of salt. When you play Thief, the maps that you get in the game doesn't tell you your exact location, so you got to try and map the area in your head and deciding where you want to go next. Looking Glass Studios sadly shut down in 2000, but they made some really good games over the years. They made Ultima Underworld and System Shock and much more, but their last game I think they ever made was Thief 2, even though it was a commercial success, but they still went bankrupt. Sadly, everything comes to an end, a moment of silence of all the good companies over the years. Anyways, the vibe of this game is great. Everything in this game feels illuminated. It kind of gives me vibes of Deus Ex because how like the shadows are in the game and how illuminated it is. What I'm guessing is they built upon it in a way with the shadows, which is really cool. There's a horror aspect in Thief Dark too. So there's undead zombies. Spiders. Skeletons. I don't know what the hell those things are in all fours. There's a tiny gap of horror in this game. It's really cool though. Yeah, some of the cutscenes are really terrifying because the resolution's really old, but not in a way where it's bad. You can still see what's going on, which makes it a little bit more eerier. If I was you, skip the Thieves Guild mission. Please. It took me way too long to beat it. Please. Just for your own sake. Hold Control, Alt, Shift, and End. Or, if you want to suffer, just go for it. Nobody's stopping you. Also, the dialogue in game and combat can be really funny, though. Because, you know, the medieval sort of like beefing, you know, whatever. Stuff like that. It can be really funny. Anyways, please like and subscribe and go play Thief.
I heard them.